Angels we have heard on high, sweetly singing o'er the plains, and the mountains in reply, echoing their joyous strains. Gloria in excelsis Deo. Gloria in excelsis Deo.
Hi, and welcome to day 16 of Vlogmas. I think it's the 16th. The days are all blending into each other. Welcome, and today we are going to make soup. And some people's specialties are cookies, cakes, gourmet fare. Mine is soup, and I love making soup. So today we're going to make some potato leek soup, which I absolutely love. I've just washed up some new potatoes. I'm going to cut them, put them in the oven to bake for a little bit. I have some leeks that I've had for a little bit and need to be used. So I'm going to cut those up, wash them first, cut them up, put them with some garlic and some butter, and put them in the frying pan for a little bit. And then I am still trying to decide whether I want to do my soup as a stovetop soup or whether I want to put it in the slow cooker. So things that I will decide as the day goes by. So right now I'm going to grab myself a knife. My mother hates my knives. I need to get some new ones. And I'm just going to put little X's in my potatoes so they don't explode when they are in the oven. And I'm just going to put the oven on as well. So oven first, then potatoes. I am new to using a gas stove, and I have to tell you, I am loving it. I really do. Now we are cooking with gas, and people said it would change my life and I wouldn't want to go back, and I think they might be right. So we are finding that when we've made roasts or other things in the oven, they've turned out really, really nicely. So I am very much enjoying cooking with gas. So I'm going to put the potatoes on for, I don't know if they'll be on for quite an hour, but close to. They're smaller potatoes, so they may not take a full hour. I'm going to bake those up, and then I'm going to mix them with some stock, my leeks that will be all nice and not browned up, but they'll be with some garlic butter. They'll be nice and brightened up, and we will start our soup making journey. Anyway, I'm going to put the potatoes in the oven. I know I should wait until the oven goes beep, 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 but I'm too impatient for that, so they can continue to have the oven warmed up. I'll just put them on a baking tray so it's easier to take them in and out of the oven. Anyway, I am going to wash up the leeks and get them sliced. You do know that the main goal of taking a little break was to go and make sure I had the date right. It is the 16th. Gotta make sure. Anyway, best way I find to clean leeks is to slice down the center, take it over to the sink, fan it out, give it a good clean, and then just start slicing. So I'm going to slice down the center of my leek as best as I can. I do not have good knife skills. I probably hold the thing wrong. Not only do I need some new knives, I need a new cutting board too. I have a little bit of whipping cream. I have some milk. I'm going to mix some water and some chicken bovril because that's the way I roll. And that will be a lovely soup or to have with dinner. I don't know whether we'll probably put something else with it as well. Anyway, I've just chopped off the ends to get rid of the scraggly bits, and I should probably grab the brazier. Trying to decide whether to melt my butter while I'm cutting or cut, put them aside, and then melt my butter. It's a big ordeal. Normally I'd melt my butter and cut and throw it in, but I'm also filming, so it makes it a bit more challenging. Anyway, I think I will grab a bowl, cut all my leeks, and then I'll add in as we go. Plus we're gonna add garlic. Yum. So I've just grabbed a bowl, and as I'm cutting the leeks, I am going to add them to my bowl. And just little slices. The great thing about going down the center is when you slice, they are already cut in half. And I always love when you put them in the brazier or the frying pan, whatever, just before you add it to the soup, you know, to add a little bit of butter, garlic to it. I love how it brightens up into a beautiful green. I've had these leeks for a little bit too long, and I wanted to be sure to use them. Usually I only use 1, maybe 2 leeks when I'm making a soup, but oftentimes I make it in the blender as well. Today I think I will use all 3 leeks because I want to get them used, don't want to waste them. So I can always make a little bit more soup, and it's always great the next day. I wonder how many of you love soup as much as I do. Especially a cream soup. Greg doesn't like a cream soup, but I absolutely love a nice cream soup. My specialties, I do like potato leek soup. I also like to make pea soup, but I make pea soup with potatoes and carrots. And when I was growing up, my sisters are much younger than I am, and so when I would make pea soup, they would love it. So a lot of people don't like pea soup, but if you've got kids saying that they love your pea soup, you must be doing something right. And what other soups do I love to make? I love making chili. Secret ingredient in chili, cinnamon. It is true. Chili is nice. It's not really a soup though, is it? And I do like to make stews as well. I guess I like those hot comfort foods. Slice, slice, slice. Anyway, that's 1 leek. I'm going to put this in the compost bin and wash up another leek. I could have fun with these and make these into a new fringe. I've made a mess of them right now. Little bits of Leek Wonderful. Just slicing away and dreaming of how good this soup is going to be. It's been a while since I made a soup. As I said, I've had these leeks for a while. I've been planning it since we first moved here. I've been wanting to make leek soup, but I just haven't gotten to it. And this morning I woke up and I thought I need to use those leeks. And wouldn't a lovely soup be a nice thing for today's meal? So I think I will continue cutting these up, and then we will move on to putting it into the brazier. All of my leeks are now cut. I'm going to put a pat of butter in the brazier and squeeze some garlic, and we can start getting these guys nice and green, ready to plop in that nice warm soup. I have just popped some butter in the brazier, and I'm going to grab my garlic press, and I have this little garlic jar that I got when we were in Cape Cod a few years ago, and I think we'll do 1 try to figure out whether I'm going to do 2 or 3 cloves of garlic. We'll see how big the one I'm about to pull off is. I think maybe I'll just do 2. 2 cloves of garlic. I do have the refrigerated fresh garlic that comes in a tube, but there's something nice about using real garlic, especially when you're doing this. So I'm going to clean off the little skinny bits and press it in with the butter. Now, an interesting thing, when we first moved here, I was very, very excited to find out that we had a garburator. I've always wanted a garburator. And you know what? I'm finding composting, rather than dealing with the garburator and the sump pump, is a little bit easier. So most of my stuff I do put in the compost. Little scraps that come off plates and things like that. Little bits of, you know, for having, I don't know, peas, carrots, whatever. If little tiny bits get in the sink, then at least I can kind of wash them down with the garburator. But for the most part, the bigger things, especially things like skins on the garlic, they go right in the compost rather than into the garburator. We have lots of wonderful butter in there and some yummy garlic. And now we're going to add in our leeks and give them a nice stir. The potatoes are continuing to bake in the oven, and on the stove top is this lovely butter and leek mixture. Just giving it a nice little stir now. Some of those ones that were at the bottom there have already started to get a little bit of a brighter green. I'm just going to stir that butter and garlic mixture all the way around. I haven't added salt or pepper yet. I do need to add some pepper for sure. I may hold off on the salt for a little bit though. I have decided that I am going to cook the soup in my crock pot, mainly because then I can leave it to simmer all afternoon and it can use electricity rather than gas. So that will be a good thing. Just put it in the crock pot and then I can take the immersion blender to it a little bit later. But first, let's get these all greened up and then I'll go get the crock pot and get it set up. The potatoes still need about another 35 minutes, if that. And then I will slice them and put them in the crock pot. But don't those leeks look beautiful? Along with my little garlic holder, I also have this piece that I purchased in Cape Cod as well, and that is, and let me turn it this way, my spoon rest. So I will put that there for now and let this continue to soften while I go and get the crock pot all set up. The leeks have greened up really nicely. They're looking good, they're smelling good, and this is the first time we're using the crock pot since we moved, and so it was in a box. I decided to give it a nice little wash before putting soup in it, and I'm about to add some water, some Bovril, and add the leeks in. I'm also going to add a little bit of Dijon mustard in there. I have put a bit of pepper in here as well. Oh, it smells so good. I can't wait to have you over for soup tonight. I have my stock going. I have turned off the leeks. This thing's heavy. I'm not quite sure how I'm going to manage putting the leeks into the crock pot. I may have to cheat and just put it into a bowl and go from there because I don't want to drop a cast iron brazier on my foot. That would be a very, very bad thing to do. I have transferred all of the leeks into the water and chicken stock pot of the meal. I'm going to add a little bit of Dijon mustard to that, give it a nice stir, and then I'm going to deal with the potatoes. Here is my Dijon mustard. Pop that in there. Give it a nice stir around. That'll give it a nice little hit of flavor. And those leeks greened up so nicely. Oven mitts on. Time to get the lovely baked potatoes out of the oven. They are nice and browned. Hot potatoes are going to need to be moved over here and cut and then put into the crock pot. I'll take an immersion blender to it later and get it all mixed up nicely. I usually leave my potato skins on in my potato leek soup, and these ones are nice and crunchy, so that'll add like a little bit of extra texture and thicken up the soup. I do have a little bit of whipping cream that I'm also going to add to the soup a little bit later. Anyway, time to get those potatoes cut up and put into the soup. These are hot potatoes, so I think I'm going to need to use my fork and my knife as I cut them. I already had the score lines from when I baked them. Oh my goodness, they are steaming hot. And I'm just going to slice them into smaller bits. And there's something nice about the baked potato taste in a leek soup, I think, rather than just putting in raw potatoes. There's a little bit of a extra little bit of special when you bake them. Sometimes I just put them in the microwave if I want like a really fast soup, especially if I'm doing it in the blender. But if I have the time, I might as well do it the way I like it best, and that is with nice baked potatoes. Could always use a potato left over from dinner the night before also, if you had any of those. And I'm just going to slice these babies up. So I have sliced my potatoes up. I'm going to take them to the crock pot now and try and gently put them in so I don't splash everywhere and have hot water. Then I'm going to put the lid on and let it simmer for a few hours. And here we are. We have our potatoes in the soup with the leeks. And I'm just going to give it a little bit of a stir. That will really thicken up with the potatoes added in. And just put my spoon aside. Put the lid on the crock pot. And it is going to sit in here for a few hours and get nice and steamy and cook for a wonderful supper tonight. I am about to take the immersion blender to the soup and get it all nice and smooth, and then it will simmer some more and it will be so tasty. My immersion blender is such a fabulous tool and easy to clean. It is all blended now, and I am ready to just sit down and show you a little bit of knitting before I call it a day on today's vlog. Now the soup is just going to simmer for a little bit. As I get closer to serving time, I will add a little bit of whipping cream to it to make it really nice and rich. And it doesn't really need too much, but I always like that little bit of extra cream. And put the lid on right now and let it simmer while we chat about knitting just for a few moments. A quick update before I sign off for the day on how my Yule Gran is going. And last night I am happy to say that I bound off the body of the sweater. So now all I have left are sleeves and the neckline. I did add a tiny bit more than called for, but not much actually, and it is actually fitting fairly well. I've left the yarn attached to it, just in case I decide to add a little bit more length, but I don't think I'm going to. Anyway, this is my Yule Gran so far, so with a shirt underneath, which is what I will wear. My jean waistband goes here, so just overlaps a tiny bit. And my Christmas tree, oh Christmas tree, oh Christmas tree. I am thinking I don't necessarily want to do the funnel neck. I may do more like a mock neck or a crew neck, and then I will do the 3/4 length sleeves as called for. Anyway, I am loving how it is knitting up so far. Tonight, maybe I will get to picking up the stitches for my sleeves. Last night, I did try and take one of the tails to even out that little section on the shoulder. I ran out of yarn, so I've got to kind of pull it back a bit and then try and just even it out, put some faux stitches there so that it makes it look like it's a nice smooth join. But otherwise, I'm really quite pleased with how my Yule Gran is coming along. If you've been with me for a while, you know I'm not much of a sweater knitter. Not that I don't like to knit sweaters, I just have other things come up and I don't knit as many sweaters as I would like to. I've got lots of sweater quantities of yarn with the intention of making sweaters. I have a second love note at the stage where all I need to do is put on sleeves, same stage as this one basically, and I'm hoping in January I will have a chance to really focus on that and get that sweater done because it would be nice to have for the winter. Anyway, this is progress, and progress is always good, but you know what's better? Soup for supper. Anyway, that is all I'm going to chatter about today. I'm not quite finished the soup. As I said, I need to add a little bit of cream. I'll give it one more immersion blend, and then we will have a lovely potato leek soup for supper tonight. I am wishing you all the best on this day 16 of Vlogmas, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow, and who knows what we'll get up to. Bye. Poor Scout is very sad because I've said, "No, Scout, no soup for you. Not for you." Big sigh. I thought it was going to be the other one. Guess what's for supper tonight?
Liver.
No.
Onions.
No.
Chicken.
No.
Turkeys.
No. No. Potato leek soup. Isn't that your favorite?
I eat it.
Yeah, you eat it.
It's not my favorite,
I know.
but I know you and Daniel like it, so.
It's true. Hello.
Hello.
How was your day?
Good.
Oh, what's that lovely smell?
Pardon?
What's that lovely smell? Take a,
Hot chocolate.
not hot chocolate. Take a big smell.
Ooh, that smells good.
What do you think it is?
Stew.
Not stew, but something you like. Starts with a P. There's an L in there too. Potato.
Soup.
What kind of, with what? Potato and?
Leek soup.
Does that make you happy?
Yeah.
Yay! What a nice thing to come home to, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
In excelsis Deo, Gloria, in excelsis Deo.
We just received a lovely, lovely parcel, and when I opened it up, to my wondrous surprise, there were snowmen. The 2021 Hallmark snowman.
Oh, Christmas tree, a festive celebration.
A star that gleams beneath the green, our favorite decoration.
You're twice as nice, a sight to see, when shared with friends and family.
I think I'm tangled in the string.
Oh, Christmas tree, you make us feel so jolly.
Can I put the star on top next year?
Sure, if you ever get out of those lights.
Well, that has me feeling jolly. Hopefully you too. Bye.